have question and answer, and then we will. So you see that there are, let me start with the principle first, and then we will go in explaining the first principle that we should understand clearly, we should have a knowledge that there is a matter and there is a consciousness. Simplified, there is a world outside and there is a real self inside. Again, clarify, there is I am and there is I am not. This is so there are two types of the knowledge. The second principle, that once I understand there are two types of the knowledge, then I think and speak and act with reference to the right knowledge. Wherever I go, I think and I speak and I work with the right knowledge. So when I work with the right knowledge, I leave the desire for fruits of an action. One, then I also drop the ego sense in that action. We will understand that. The third point is when we realize that ego sense is a false notion. So we should drop that ego sense completely. But how to drop it is extremely difficult. That is one of the major problems. You just simply, I cannot do it. Not possible. I forget it. So I is there. That is the ego sense which is attached to this stress. So we drop that ego sense. Let die be done. Have you heard this proverb? Let die be done. Let the I give all the fruits of my action to the existence. And in the fourth step, we realize it is the binding desire which is causing the stress in my life. Four principles. Start with the first. First is there are two types of knowledge. Two types of knowledge. The one knowledge is all about myself. Clear? Who am I? That is the knowledge of the self. The other is the knowledge about the world outside. Are you understanding clearly? Two types of knowledge. One knowledge of the world outside and the one knowledge about me. Who am I? Clear? Now, are we in a waking state now? What you're talking. I'm listening to you, so we both are in a waking state. No doubt? Clear? Keep a smile on the face and listen attentively. I want you to smile. Don't live into that, what happened. Clear? Are we in a waking state? Are you sure? Yes. Or you are not sure? So we are sure we are in a waking state. I am talking and you are listening. Clear? What happens in dream state? My body is lying on the bed. There is another body that I see in the dream. That body, the dream body, is running, working, thinking, enters into fear, anxiety, and if there is a scary dream, when I wake up and I see, oh my goodness, My body was lying as it is, but where is the fear? So that is the dream body. Are you getting it? What happens in sleep? How many problems you have in deep sleep? No problem. Are you getting it? In deep sleep, I'm saying deep sleep, where there is no dream, no dream. Are you aware of the body in the deep sleep? Are you aware of the mind in deep sleep? Because there is no body, there is no mind in the deep sleep. It does not mean that you don't have the body and the mind. But when the body and the mind is not there in the deep sleep, you wake up from the deep sleep and you say, I'm totally fresh and I'm calm. Clear? Can we achieve a state consciously where we say, mind, you stay there? What will happen to us? We will live in peace and happiness. Are you clear? So all the problem comes from outside or mind? Comes from the mind. Mind is there, it is attached in waking state. In waking state, my sense organs are active. By default, it processes the information. In deep sleep, mind is not there, problem is not there. Are you clear? Are you clear? Do I understand that the mind is the problem? Mind is the solution. So, who does all this inquiry? The intellect. Knowledge remains as it is. Knowledge does not change. I have understood. I am passing on this knowledge. You have an intellect. So you examine. You have to start thinking in your mind. If you don't start thinking in your mind, then there will be no solution. Then there will be mechanical, habitual practice. Animals are living like this. Are you getting it? Are you getting it? Where is the smile on your face, my friend? You see, the smile comes instantly when I say, where is the smile? It is the choice by the intellect. Again, the smile disappears. So, what is the? So, there are two types of the knowledge of the world outside and the knowledge about who am I. This is what we are working on. So, the master says that, I'm passing on the thoughts of the wisdom, and the stress also is experienced by thought. Because if I have a thought that I'm in stress, then only I know I'm in stress. Right? So thought contains both the knowledge. Clear? Thought contains both the knowledge. Clear? So what we are doing, understand. By understanding, the knowledge are of two types. Now the goal is, I want to know my true nature. My true nature, as the master says, is pure consciousness, full of permanent peace, happiness, love, and wisdom. Masters are saying, we are making a journey, so we believe that, okay, Master is saying that it is there. Now tell me, now tell me one thing. You want to live in stress and suffering? One option. Or you want to believe that there is a peace, happiness, love, and wisdom inside? Third option. You believe in it and you start the journey. You don't believe in it, what is going to happen? You continue to live into the stress. Now ask your mind why you don't believe in it. Is there any benefit of not believing in it? What we are doing? We are we are invoking the intellect. This is what you need to ask yourself, think yourself. Will I live in the same way? Continue to live in the stress day and day, night out? Do you want to live like this? Where is the smile gone again? You have experienced days after days, weeks after weeks, years after years. You want to follow the same path and expecting a different result? Is it possible? So my intellect should make a right decision. Doing the same thing again and again, let me do the things differently. This is what our masters are saying. Are you getting it? We are not saying anything different. Common sense. Mind normally lives in nonsense. We have to apply a common sense based on the intellect. What is nonsense? You are responsible for my stress. You made my life hell. We blame, complain, and react to the world outside. That is nonsense. That lives in the mind. Common sense, the intellect comes. Common sense says, "Lo, let me observe, let me see. Can anyone make can anyone make me stressed? No way. Can anyone make me happy? No way. Happiness is within. I have to find happiness." Now, what we are doing, pay attention to it. Have you seen the garden in and around? Do you have a garden in your house? So, when you have a garden, after a few weeks, the weed is grown. So, we have to remove the weed to keep the garden clean, isn't it? Right? What is a weed? Is it not a plant? It is a plant, isn't it? The weed is also a plant. And the plant that you want to grow in your garden is also a plant. Is it not? Both are plants. We have to make a choice. You have to make a choice. What is the choice? I have to remove the weed. That is also a plant. And I have to keep growing what I want to grow. Am I right? Apply the same principle to the mind. Both are thoughts. One thought says I am stressed. Other thought says my real self is full of peace and happiness. Which one you want to grow? Which one you want to keep? Which one you want to remove? Intellect has to make a choice. If you don't make a choice, practice meditation for 5 hours every day, 10 hours every day, 10 years, no change. Are you getting it? Is weed not a plant? Weed is a plant. The plants of your choice that you want to grow into your garden is also a plant. Both are plants, isn't it? Is it not true? So the thoughts are there. The thought creates the wrong notion. Thought that causes the stress needs to be removed and replaced by the thoughts which will help me to discover my peace and happiness within. Am I clear to you? Are you clear? What should I do to remove the weed? Treat the soil in such a way so that the weed is totally destroyed. But that is the first step. But at the same time, I should take care of those plants that I want to grow. Am I right? No, my mind does not want to listen. Well, you said something, my mind does not. No, I don't have some, some resources. I can do it. I cannot do it. What is this thought? It is thought of a weed or a plant that you want to grow. You have already blocked all the opportunities, even when you know it. Are you getting it? Are you getting it? Both weed and the plants, for example, the rose, you know, my honey grows, the basil of different types. And at the same time, you have a weed. So every day she goes to that garden and she removes all the weed. We have an organic insecticide, we kill that. That is only the first step. But the second step to put the fertilizer, water those plants, which I want to grow. Am I right? So when the mind says, I cannot do it, I have to apply the intellect and the mind. The way the mind is repeating all the thoughts pertaining to the weed, my mind must repeat again and again the thoughts pertaining to my real self and peace and happiness. Are you getting the message clear? Are you getting the message clear? Even if my mind says I cannot do it, hell with you, mind. Peace is my essential nature. Mind still says I cannot do it. Stop this nonsense. Happiness is my essential nature. This is the beginning that will help you make you the seeker. And the seeker always succeeds in the journey. Non seeker never succeeds. Are you getting it? Are you getting the message clear? So the master says the very first step, it says, continue to acquire knowledge of the world outside and also the knowledge about who you are. Worldly knowledge gives you the skill sets. It gives you the expertise. You are as a teacher, it gives you an expertise how to teach, how to convey the masses correctly. You always prepare a lesson and then you teach others, teach your kids, isn't it? So you have been teaching for many years, and that gives you an expertise in a particular profession that is worldly knowledge. Clear? What is the knowledge of this self? What I'm talking? This knowledge means that you study this knowledge to study yourself. That is not happening. You are a physics teacher, for example. So you study physics to teach physics to others. Clear? But this knowledge, what we are learning here, you study yourself. That is the biggest difference. Are you getting it? Are you getting it? This knowledge is helping you to study yourself. Worldly knowledge, you study about physics, chemistry, biology. It doesn't help you in reshaping your personality. It doesn't help you to evolve. Are you getting it? Huh? So, what should I do? Ask yourself, what should I do? Two examples: weed and plants. They both are thoughts. Both are plants. In the mind, thoughts of stress and thoughts of peace. I cannot choose thought of peace and happiness. How come? How dare you cannot choose the thought of the peace and happiness? We are the seekers of peace and happiness. And you claim that I cannot do it. How dare your mind say this? How dare your mind says this? Because this knowledge is not making a ground in the garden of your mind. You are obsessed with the weed only, the wrong notions, the wrong thoughts. You are not looking about what is the main goal. Why? Because you do not think. Because when you think of the peace, you have sown one seed. Again, you claim happiness is my essential nature. The mind says, no, I cannot do it. You say, stop this nonsense, my mind. Happiness is my essential nature. How dare your mind says that you are not a seeker of peace and happiness? How dare your mind do not think about, if I think, I get the knowledge. When I think, I get the knowledge. When I get the knowledge, there is a clarity. Then there is a desire for that knowledge. And when there is a desire, then I put the things into the practice and I get the result. Are you getting it? Our master says, as you practice meditation, the first thing it happens is the end of suffering. Weed is removed. Then happens peace and happiness. Can you grow the plants very well in the presence of the weeds in the garden? So the master says, I continue to think about it. So I am sowing the seed. At the same time, I'm removing the weed. So that will help me to enter into the peace and happiness. So two types of knowledge. We have taken up the first principle. What is that? Two types of the knowledge: I am and I am not. So let us pick up one more thing. who I am. Simple understanding. I am only a waker. I am only a waker means as long as I am in a waking state, that is what I say I am. I do not exist as a sleeper, or I am also a sleeper. I'm also a sleeper. I'm also a dreamer, isn't it? I is present in a waking state. I is present in a dream state. I is present in a sleeping state. Am I clear? If I is not present in a sleeping state, when I wake up, I will never remember the old world, the same old world. Hence, it is very clear that the I is present in a sleeping state, I is present in a waking state, I is present in a dream state. Am I clear? So, in a sleep state, I'm so happy and I remain stressed in a waking state. And in the dream state, it depends. If I get a good dream, I enjoy. If I get a scary dream, then I get into the stress. But I is present in the sleeping state also. That is why after waking up, you say that I was sleeping soundly. I slept soundly. Am I clear? Am I clear? So now I want to know, this I experiences the stress in the waking state, but does not experience the stress in the deep sleep state. And also, sometime it experiences pleasure, sometime it experiences pain in the dream state. Clear? I have to, you start thinking the same way. You listen to me for 5 minutes and close your eyes, let me think in this way, so that you become aware. Oh, in the sleep state, I was there, but no, state, in the waking state, the mind becomes aware of the world outside. It attaches and causes the stress and the pain and the suffering, more or less in the same in the dream state. Now, the big question is, can this I have ever stress, or the stress only comes in relationship to the waking state? There is no stress in relationship to the sleeping state, and a mixture more or less in the dream state. Can I see that I is independent of all the three states? Why I don't see the I is independent of all the three states? Because that I is attached to the noise. It gives me the stress in the waking state. So is the waking state responsible for the stress which makes the mind attached to it? Or I am really getting stressed? Or I is independent of the stress? If there is any device put into your both the ears that gives you an anesthetic effect, where you don't listen to any noise coming from outside, you'll be happy. No noise. Are the deaf people always happy? Tell me. These thoughts, you have to remove those weeds. Deaf people are always happy. No, never possible. It has nothing to do with the hearing. Are you sure? It has nothing to do with the hearing. So, the way my mind responds to the world outside causes this problem. If the mind changes the response, the problem is over. Why the mind responds and reacts? The mind reacts because of the weeds. Mind responds because of the flower of thoughts. That is what we understood now. Are you getting it? Are you getting it? I have to think like this. Think. Now look at the world. Tell me anything that does not change. The entire world. People, object, things are constantly changing. The earth is moving, it is changing. The solar system is changing. The entire galaxy is changing. Go too far, now come too near. Our near and dear ones are changing constantly, whatever you see. Now bring your mind little nearer. Our body is changing, isn't it? Our mind is changing. Our intellect is changing. Our ego is changing. What do you mean by change? Change means the birth and the growth and the death. It is a different matter. The car becomes 10-year old. We say it is a used car. When my body is 50 years old, I don't say it is used body. You see? Do you see that? Used mind. Or misused mind. Why you are misusing your mind? Mind is your instrument. Are you getting it? Go back again, the same weeds. So the first thing, this world is constantly changing, my friend. Are you sure? Is it changing? Now that changing world is seen by the mind and concludes, experiences, opposite experiences, pain, pleasure, profit, loss, victory, defeat, heat and cold. Are you getting it? That is how the mind perceives the world outside. Getting it? Are you getting it? When you see this gray hair, you say old guy, young guy. Pairs of opposite is always there. Huh? You see there is no beard at all. The voice is different. You say, oh, she is a woman. She is not a man. Opposite. Pairs of opposites. Are you getting it? So the world is changing, the mind is changing. Behind the mind, that I, that real I, do not change. The mind identifies with the weed, with the false and the wrong notion, and it says, I am stressed, I cannot do anything. Really? Are you sure? Is it the mind or the real I? Is it the mind or real I? So one day you will go into deep sleep, and then I will ask you, are you stressed? You even don't care to listen to me. That real I is not identified with the weeds, with the wrong notion, creates the stress. Mind is in between. One side, the real I, the other side is the world. So, mind with its wrong notion means the weeds, goes to the world, identifies, I have lot of problem. Many people, single people come to me, what should I do? I have, I feel lonely. You suffer from loneliness? Yes, loneliness gives me the anxiety and the stress. I said, there is no treatment for loneliness for you. I cannot help you. How come? Because you feel lonely while living with yourself, nobody can treat you. If you feel lonely with yourself, you will make others also lonely. That is my answer. So, what is that loneliness? Because I am seeking someone else to fill that gap to give me the pleasure. So, what happens? I feel lonely, I get married. Or I start living with, or I start gossiping with someone. This is just an example, assembly. Now, living with a person, that loneliness is already there. I'm not clear about it. So I entered into a conflict. Again, I go into the stress. So I leave that companion. Again, I leave that companion, the same loneliness. So that is how the mind is working. The mind must drop the wrong notions once and forever. Can it happen in a day? Yes, if you are aware, if you understand, if you accept this, if your mind accepts this, it repeats it again, followed by the practice. Are you getting it? How dare your mind say you are in stress? How dare your mind says you are in stress?